the battle of the jams continues as King Charles launches and starts selling his new project. A message here, I suspect, of Meghan Markle. Anything you can do, I can do better. Now, the product, described as a beautifully delicate honey from the monarch's private estate, is the latest to hit the shelves as Meghan Markle is set to make her next move regarding American Riviera Orchard, or as I like to call her site, another ridiculous offering. Produced by royal bees on the Highgrove estate, the King's organic soft-set honey makes a fantastic gift for food lovers with its distinctive lime flavour. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Meghan, although, to be fair, Harry might try. Speaking of which, Harry is currently in a bit of a sticky situation after deleting what could be seen as evidence for his phone hacking trial. In his oral ruling, the judge described troubling evidence that a large number of potentially relevant documents, confidential messages between the claimant and his ghostwriter of Spare, as well as all the drafts of Spare, were destroyed sometime between 2021 and 2023. Well, after this claim was underway. Amidst all of this, King Charles continues and Queen Camilla, with their royal duties, recently arriving in the Scottish capital to conduct royal engagements to celebrate Holyrood Week, which is all about celebrating the people of Scotland and their culture and communities. Midweek, the King, accompanied by Prince William and also the Duchess of Edinburgh, will attend the Thistle service at St Giles's Cathedral for the installation of the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh to the Order of the Thistle. Oh, we love all that. I love a bit of pomp and ceremony. Now, I've got two lovely guests here with me in the studio. Lee Cohen, joining in person rather than from Palm Springs, Florida. Why on earth did he come? The weather's terrible here. And one of our favourites, Lizzie, Cundy. Right. I'm going to start with Prince Harry. A petition has been launched to stop him from receiving the Pat Tillman Memorial Award in Hollywood next month. Tell us a bit more about this, Lee.
Well, on background, Nana, Pat Tillman was really an American hero who quit a football career, a successful football career, to enlist in the armed services. And very sadly, tragically, he got killed by friendly fire in Afghanistan. So a lot of people think that this is really inappropriate. I mean, when there's so many who've done so many good things for veterans, really, this is in the name of a hero. Why should Prince Harry, who actually stepped away from his service in the UK?
Well, also, he talked about his kill count in his book Spare, which kind of made him more of a target, but also something that apparently soldiers never reveal.
Well, this has inflamed people so much to the fact that even Mr. Tillman's mother has objected to this and has inquired why, of all people, has Prince Harry been named, to this honour. Yes.
Lizzie Cundy.
Well, I mean, there's actually a petition has been launched to stop him getting and receiving this award, and the whole of the family don't want him to get it. They think it's very disrespectful, and they're also looking at the reasonings behind why Harry would get this award. There is something that is not cool about this. I can feel if Harry is awarded, there's going to be trouble. I expect there to be boos, and when their own family don't want Harry to get this award, that's they've really got to look at this again.
What could be the reason for him getting it? I'm just confused. What is it that he's done? I know he went to Afghanistan, but all the royals do serve in the armed forces, so it's nothing unusual there. And he served whilst there was a war, but he had to come back. So, yes, he set up this, what's the thing called that he set up? I've forgotten it now.
The Invictus Games.
Invictus Games,
yes,
sorry.
Yes.
Menopause, darling.
Yes.
Sometimes things evade me. I can look at somebody, literally be staring at them and completely have no idea who they are. Often in the morning, darling, often in the morning. No, but seriously, the Invictus Games, OK, so that was launched, but,
well, I think we know that in the United States, there's a lot of value in having, we don't have royalty, you see. So there's a lot of value in engaging famous people, celebrities, to charities, because the thought is that they'll raise a lot of money for those things. And in fact, Harry was given another ridiculous award not too long ago, something about amazing aviators. That wasn't the exact name of it.
But yes, I remember that.
Yes, yes. And a lot of people...
Some award in aviation.
Exactly.
I don't even think he flew the helicopters or whatever it was.
He didn't.
He probably sat in the front, somebody else pushing the buttons.
Look, we've got to
just
give
like
Harry...
he does now.
Exactly. But look, Harry's done amazing things with the Invictus Games. That's one thing I think he does deserve praise for. But to receive this award with the Pat Tillman's family actually saying it's disrespectful. He's a controversial figure and he's a decisive figure and they don't want him to receive it. So for Harry then to get this award is totally disrespectful.
Seems very odd. I don't know why they're giving it to him, but fair enough. Look, we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see the sort of backlash that comes with it. Now, Meghan Markle, her new podcast is at risk of failure unless key changes are made. Lizzie, Cundy, what do we know?
Meghan Markle's new podcast by Lemonade, they're going to re-release it, but they're just sort of rehashing it. It's the same old stuff, just with new titles. Now, for this podcast to succeed, there needs to be drastic change. First of all, Meghan needs to learn to listen, because as an interviewer, you do have to listen. And one thing we found with her previous podcast, she didn't. It was all me. And also, sadly, she has lost a lot of her celebrity contacts. Now, one I've just read about the Beckhams in the Bowers' new book, which is called The House of Beckham, Money, Sex and Power. And in this, we hear how Meghan totally told Harry not to be pictured with David Beckham at the Invictus Games. She wants all the glory for themselves. She didn't want the competition, as she knew they were big stars.
But how does he know all that in his book? I mean,
well,
what he's put in there, whilst, I respect it and I love the fact that these people write books and memoirs and so on, but how does he know that?
Because he talks to actual very close friends. He already wrote a book on Meghan, as we know, and he knows all the sources. He has the best royal contacts. I was with his wife the other day, and
you were with his wife?
Yes,
really?
with that for the music.
Oh,
fund.
drop that in.
I do drop that in. But he goes places. He's like water. He gets everywhere. Tom Bower, and he knows the right people to ask. And sadly, Meghan has really upset a lot of celebrities. Gone are the George Clooney's, the Oprah Winfrey's. She hasn't got them anymore. So she's now going to have to look at non-celebrity experts. Will that have the same pull? I don't think so.
Oh, dear. I remember in her podcast when she said about Serena, I think it was Serena Williams. Serena Williams said, I love the way you speak, the way you talk to me, because she was saying things like, oh, I love you, and, really sycophantic sort of creeping, and it was quite distasteful, I have to say.
Well, I think one interesting thing, Nana, is, and Lizzie said she needs to learn to listen. Well, it was reported that on some of these podcasts, she didn't even do the interviewing, but rather her staff did the interviewing, and they simply put in her voices. So you ask, is there anything she should do to change around for this new round of podcasts? Perhaps she should actually be present and engage with the people she's interviewing. Do you think?
Well, I think it would be great if she's hosting it, to be the actual host and not get her staff to do it. But now I hear she's having to get and rely on her old cast members of Suits, and she's fallen out with a lot of them because she didn't want to know them when she met Harry, as she did myself. She ghosted a lot of them, and now she's got to go back with cap in hand saying, will you come on this podcast? Are they going to want to do it?
Well, let's face it, the couple are Hollywood toxicity, and they are box office poison. They've been dropped by Spotify. They've been called names that this is a family show that I know you don't want me to say. They've been the butt of jokes from everyone, South Park, from cartoons to comedians. I mean, this was a big U-turn because before Hollywood was really celebrating them because they shared their values. They were charging for a lot of the same causes, and now it's it seems they can't even get people to...
What do you think the turning point has been? Because there's been lots of things where you still hear people go, oh, but she's lovely, she's this, and you think, well, after everything, what do you think in America, the final sort of nail...
Well, as one American who's never been on Team Meghan, I shouldn't say that. I was very excited.
At the beginning, were.
Yes, I was very excited. And she looked lovely, and the royal family looked very happy to receive her. And then the trouble started. And yes, and I think you know all about the trouble, the reports from palace staff and everything else. And, you know, as you know, she was probably never fit for this job.
No.
She probably had no interest in Harry's country, your country.
I think she sort of had the visions like Princess Ariel or one of the princesses, that that's what it would be. And then she realised that she actually had to do some work.
Well, yeah, she thought she was going to be like this Hollywood princess. And sadly, when you're a royal, you have to put the work in. And we look at Princess Anne, one of our hardest working royals.
And Prince Charles.
And Prince Charles.
King Charles even.
And King Charles and Kate, who do it so effortlessly. She did nothing but whinge and moan. And I don't think the Americans like anyone moaning and slating the royal family.
Do you think that was the turning point? Do you think there's one thing that really sort of turned even her biggest fans off her?
I mean, there have been so many things. I think it's been cumulative, but I think that Harry's memoir, where he absolutely slammed, you know, he slammed Queen Camilla, he slammed Kate, he slammed his own father, he even his own beloved grandparents were mentioned, and Americans, like everyone else in the world, held the Duke of Edinburgh and the late beloved Queen
in such high regard.
In such high regard.
But you can't. Do you know what I think that really the turning point was? And I say this because all the different things that sort of Meghan did, and also Harry, a lot of them could have almost been excused. But I actually think that it was when the King was ill. And also the fact that Meghan has not gone to see her dad since he's been sick. And so it wasn't just the first time at the wedding, which wasn't great because he wasn't well, so he couldn't attend. And she's not contacted him, apparently, as far as we know. But I think this one, where then he had the stroke and then she didn't bother seeing him.
Totally.
And then the difference when when the King was ill, Harry went to see the King.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid that right there, I think, for me, if I was ever... That was, for me, the moment where I thought, well, even your own husband must be looking at you thinking, I'm not going to go see your dad.
She has, her own father has not heard from her at all. He's reached out many times. And she could have solved this easily and brought him in, had a chat, said, look, this is how it's done. Have a scone and some cream and jam and a tea. And make him feel... It was her own jam. I would rather have Charles's. But, you know, she did everything the wrong way. And here she is now trying to launch this new podcast. The fact is, you've got to have engaging guests and connect with an audience with real issues. And also, as I said, listen, she does none of the above.
Well, I just want to let you know, and the British people who are listening know, we Americans have a terrible track record of marrying into your royal family. We've had two absolute disasters. The first being in 1936 with Wallace Simpson, and then when Meghan married Harry. And we have lovely, dutiful, intelligent, hard-working women in America, and I wish that your royal family would engage some of those.
Well, but you know, look, you can't.
Very similar, actually.
You can't help who you fall in love with, even though you might try. And also, you know, I don't think that Meghan isn't hard-working. I think she's hard-working, but sort of. Not
for herself,
but for herself, you know, there doesn't seem to be an understanding of what. Anyway, I want to move on to David Beckham. What do we know about that? Because Tom Bower's written a book.
Yes,
you mentioned it earlier.
Tom Bower, and I said I was with his lovely wife in the week. The House of Beckham. It's very interesting because I remember when I was with Meghan Markle, Victoria Beckham came to Eva Longoria's event. I was next to Meghan, and she squealed with excitement so loudly. I had to tell her, look, that's not so cool, be cooler, because it was a bit embarrassing. But she couldn't believe that Victoria Beckham was in the same room with her. She couldn't wait to be with her and be pictured with her. Now, sadly, this has come round to bite her on the derriere, may I say, because she didn't want to be pictured with them. She pushed David Beckham out. He was at the Invictus Games, which was a great cause. He will bring great press, you know, and publicity, as the Beckhams always do. Love them or loathe them, that's what they do. And she pushed them away because she didn't want the competition. And now she needs them. She needs them for this podcast. But they're distancing themselves. And that's the sad truth with many celebrities, not just here, but over the pond.
I think it's... Do you know what? The more I talk about it, the more I feel it's quite sad, really. I don't actually think it's... You know, part of me, at the beginning, I thought that the whole relationship and the wedding was wonderful, but the more I see it, the more I actually feel sympathy for both of them. And I wish they would just, like, bring their children in to meet the grandparents. I think apparently King Charles may well be travelling to America, that's what they're saying, to go and see the children.
Well, wouldn't you think
but
they would
it should be the other way around, shouldn't it?
to,
I mean,
to Charles? He's going through cancer treatment. He's 75 years old. He has so much on his plate. You'd think that she would actually be giving and say, you know what, we will take that flight, we'll do it, and do it in privacy, not have everyone, you know, knowing about it. And one of the great joys of, you know, of being a grandparent is being with your grandchildren. For him not to have that relationship is very, very sad. And the same for our own father.
Well, my little boy, Ivory, he's only 6, or he's 7 in a few days. He said, Mummy, if you have grandchildren, you'll be called Nana Nana. I said, very good. You're so cute.
He's a bright boy.
It's very funny. Anyhow, less about me.
Well, I'd rather talk about you than Meghan any day, to be honest with you. But having said that, you know, this is someone who was never well suited for this role. We don't in America have a royal family, as you know, and much to some of our...
But you could have learned. I mean, like, I don't take that, because I think that if you might not be suited to something, but this is something where you learn, and it depends whether you're available and open to learning. So I think, and she's not stupid, she's very intelligent, she made a fair bit of money herself. She's got all the things that she wanted to get, including she managed to marry a prince, so she can, you know, she's a chameleon, she can move in.
I agree with you partially.
Don't forget, she had all those pictures outside Buckingham Palace. There was apparently a picture of Prince William, not Harry, on her wall. She was obsessed with Princess Diana.
Well, let's talk about William, actually, because even though, as we've been talking about Harry and Meghan a lot, Harry has sort of tried to woo over America, it seems that William is top dog, really.
Yes. There was an opinion poll that was done, I believe it was by Reuters. It was done, I believe, this year, where Prince William ranked higher than any of our own politicians in the United States. That's probably not so surprising. That's a very low bar, I'm sad to say. But having said that, Americans have great affection and admiration for the royal family, particularly the memory of the beloved Queen who passed away. But it's partially we want what we can't have, because you have something so rarefied in them, so special. And we have all the money that can buy anything, and yet we can't buy the status of the royal family, the history of the royal family. We can't buy the carriages and the palaces. But it's something more than that. You said a little bit ago that Meghan could have learned. But you know what? I think true royal service and grace, the grace that the Princess of Wales has, the grace that the Duchess of Edinburgh has, the grace that Princess Anne has. I think you have to be born with that.
Well, she's an actress. She could have acted it. I don't know why she couldn't do it.
But she doesn't, sadly, Meghan doesn't know the real meaning of duty, royal duty, and what that actually means, and what it actually means to this country. And with her whinging and moaning about the royal family, all it's done is make her popularity drop to the bottom.
I mean, that was a mistake.
And I have to say, Prince William, my friends in America have said the way he has continued on with his wife, you know, going through cancer treatment, and how he's being with everything, with the people, and, you know, we saw him at Taylor Swift there boogieing away, and his popularity has shot up there, and I think they really admire him, how he's coping. You know, don't forget, he's a human being, he's a father, and what that family's going through at the moment.
Now, what about Princess Beatrice? Because despite not being a working member of the royal family, she's recently demonstrated her potential to be sort of more active in the role. What do we know about Princess Beatrice?
Beatrice, I'm not going to name drop again, but I was with her on Wednesday.
Oh, really? Were you?
I was indeed. And she filled in for Prince William at the Earthshot Prizes Water Round Table as I think William and Charles hosted the Japanese Emperor who was over. And she did a marvellous job. And I think, as we're seeing, with King Charles not well and our Kate, that we need to rely on Beatrice and Eugenie, and Zara Tindall. They're very popular and they're really hard-working. Look, they're independent, they have their own careers, but they love the royal family and they have the real sense of royal duty.
No, you have to wonder, when the Princess Royal had that terrible accident last week. I just thought, I read that and I thought, but the first thing I thought of was who are going to carry out these royal duties, because the king had talked about slimming down the monarchy, but he couldn't possibly have foreseen the sad health issues that were to come. And I think it makes complete sense, particularly I've never seen Princess Beatrice put a foot wrong. She's had her own life, she's had her own career, and she's a young mother, and those could be difficult transitions because she wasn't groomed to be a working royal. But Kate wasn't groomed to be a working royal either.
That's what I was saying about Meghan. She could easily have...
Well, a different mindset.
But what I love about Beatrice and both of the girls, they love their mum. They're very close, the three of them. And she is so gracious, and she talks to everyone. At this do on Wednesday, she was actually sitting, hugging, and she was really has the common touch.
All right. So, any chance of a return for Andrew? Last word.
Well, chance for a return for Andrew. I don't think so. I think that they did that recent Netflix thing about Andrew, and I said I don't think they need to do this again. They're dredging up old stuff, but I'm not so sure.
Lizzie Cundy, very briefly.
No, I'm afraid not.
No. In a word, no. Well, listen, Lee, have you enjoyed it? You're here live instead of down the line.
The highlight of this visit, Nana, has been meeting you and the great Lizzie Cundy. So I am so pleased to be here. I hope we're going to do this again sometime.
We hope. Thank you for joining me in the studio, both Lee Cohen, thank you so much, Lee, and also the brilliant Lizzie Cundy. For any more information on the royal family, please head to gbnews.com/America. I'm Nana Akua.